Hi guys, welcome back to the Drive Life channel, and in today's video we're going to be discussing diesel cars and whether you should still buy one in 2020. We are a family of diesel owners. We have the Volvo here, we have the X3, we have our Polo, the camper van, and also the Mercedes, which isn't here at the moment, is also diesel. So that's 5 cars. And I want to talk about whether diesels are relevant nowadays, because a lot of people complain about diesels. Some people seem to think that if you own a diesel you're not a petrol head, and the government seem to be trying to get rid of diesels. So let's get into the nitty gritty. So I'm first going to talk about why the government are trying to get rid of them. And basically, about 10 years ago the government was trying to promote diesels as much as possible. That actually you could buy diesels up until fairly recently that were taxed at less, well, they were free tax, and that was because the government were dropping the taxes because it was producing less CO2. What they then started to realise was there's a bit of nitrogen gas or some other chemical that diesels produce that the government decided they now didn't like. So they've actually put the tax back on them. Everything's taxed at a flat rate now, because they've sort of realised it doesn't make a difference. Got some chainsaws in the background, so if you struggle to hear me, apologies for that. But so now cities such as Oxford and London are heavily taxing or even banning diesel cars after a certain period. I think it's up to, if you're less than Euro 5, you can't drive in Oxford or something ridiculous like that. So it's a bit of a shame really to see these diesel engines leave. Now the reason that I personally drive a diesel, and the reason why my family drives diesels, is because they're better on fuel, and they're just easier cars to drive really. The torque on a diesel engine is just that much more than petrol engines. I mean, this is 450 newton meters of torque, this car, which the petrol equivalent I think was 328, so it's 100 odd newton meters of torque more in a diesel than you get a petrol. Diesels also, for where we live, we're in quite a rural county of Herefordshire. We basically use diesels more because we drive longer distances, so for us to go to our nearest sort of decent shopping area is 15 miles. That's just a 30-mile round trip. To do that in this compared to the Golf, if it's not in hybrid mode, this X3 gets about 20 more mpg than the Golf does if you drive it carefully. So it makes sense to go for diesel. I'm also personally a fan of diesel just for the way it drives, like I said, and the ease of driving as well. Like I said, the torque, these two are only manual diesels that we've got. The torque is really, just makes the car much easier to live with than the manual. You can literally pull up on the clutch and the car will pull itself along, stall it a lot less, and it's just, easier and more pleasant to drive. The camper van here, that was a diesel from the factory. I'll turbocharge that to give it a bit more daily drivability. Doesn't get driven daily, as you can probably tell by the state of it. But again, despite the fact that that is 30 years old, that is far easier to drive than a new petrol car. It's just the way that diesels work. So we cannot complain in that regard. So should you buy a diesel in 2020? Well, it really depends on what you are going to use it for. If you do nothing but town driving, and your commute is sort of less than 10 miles, then probably not worth it, to be honest. You're going to get more issues. You're going to get stuff like the DPF filters clogging up, which is where the car basically doesn't get hot enough to burn off the soot, and you get issues. They can be really expensive to fix, so that's something to look out for. Also, you don't really need the extra fuel economy, because diesels on a short run aren't as good as petrols in fuel economy. Just the way that the science works and the time that the diesel engine takes to heat up and everything like that. So really, I'd say if you do less than 8,000 miles a year, then you want to be getting a petrol rather than a diesel. Your MPG isn't really going to make that much difference over that time, and also you're not going to really run the diesel enough to get the extra benefits and to keep the car sort of healthy. So if you don't do many miles at all, then definitely don't get a diesel. However, if you do sort of 8,000 plus miles, you do relatively long journeys. I mean, this car I've done 2,000 miles a month in. This car up until lockdown did about the same. This car does probably 1,000 miles a month, so they all move a lot, and it's that diesels are really, really good for. If you do high mileages, if you do sort of motorway cruising, all that sort of thing, these cars absolutely love it. They'll sit at 1500 RPM at 70 miles an hour, and yeah, it's just a nice, comfortable ride. So that for me is why anyone should get a diesel. If that's you that I've just described, then you want to be getting a diesel. There's no doubt about it. Then if we look at sort of the relevance of them in 2020, like I said, the government are trying to phase them out, and I think that's a real shame, because diesel is a brilliant fuel. It's much safer than petrol as well. It's less volatile. In an accident, you're never going to get a diesel car catch fire, really, or you'd be very unlikely for the diesel fuel to catch fire in an accident, whereas petrol will combust just like that. It loves to combust. So that's another thing, is sort of the safety aspect of it. And like I said, yeah, they're trying to phase them out. So older diesels, sort of Euro 3, Euro 4, this is a Euro 5 I think, Euro 3, they're just trying to get rid of them. So you'll get higher taxes in various cities, congestion charge as well. But like I said, if you're out in the sticks like this, then do what you want. No one really cares, to be honest. So yeah, treat yourself to a diesel. They're fantastic daily drivers, and the thing is as well, there's so much more tunability on a diesel engine than there is a petrol engine. So yeah, I say go for it if you meet the criteria that I listed earlier, where you do sort of reasonable mileages. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Let me know what you've got. Did you go diesel? Why did you go diesel? Did you go petrol, and why did you go petrol? Or maybe you go hybrid, and why did you do that? Let me know. I'll be really interested to find out, and then we can have a discussion in the comments. So until next time, cheers.